Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 73 of Stat Check. This is Canoptek Court is now in session. I am Menace. I am joined by Nathan and Anthony, and we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff randomly and tangentially related to 40k. We're probably going to be going through a bunch of stats. We're going to be telling you that we're not here next week. All that cool stuff. I'm sorry to drop that bombshell immediately. It's the 26th of December. People want to sleep. A lot. Mostly me. How is everybody doing today? Nathan, you want to start us off since you weren't here last week?
Everything's fine over here. I don't know. I just work a lot. I had a big presentation in like my 6-month performance assessment thing, which is why I wasn't on last week, which all went well. But otherwise, I've been playing digital 40k. So I've been playing Owlcat's new Rogue Trader game for the most part, which has been a lot of fun. It's the most 40k video game I've ever played. With a morality system and stuff that is just very authentic to like the setting and the lore. So I kind of love it. It's good so far. You can also do just wild shit like accidentally break the veil and perils and then summon demons. So randomly a bloodletter will like pop out if you cast too many psychic powers and then murder all of you. So that's always kind of fun. I don't know. And then I played another team match for the TTS Teams League, and I got absolutely annihilated by Eldar again, which is just kind of in vogue for me. But
we're doing exposure therapy for Nathan. We're like, what if you just play it a bunch? Maybe he'll get points this time.
I got 1 point. I probably could have gotten more than 1 point if I had played better and not rolled terribly the whole game. I think my opponent, Tom, felt bad for me towards the end of it. He was like, Nathan, what is this? What are you doing? That's about it. How about you, Anthony? How's your life in 40K going?
Life stuff is great. I got a new job. I got a new computer. I told my current job that I got a new job, and instead of them being like, please work for the next 2 weeks, they were like, no, you're just off now until your new job. So I'm just a man of leisure until January 10th or something like that. Yeah, so far so good. Things are going well. Nothing else super interesting besides those two fairly large developments. Yeah, things are pretty good.
Anthony's having a time and doing a life outside of Warhammer a little bit.
Yeah, I got 2 months off of 40k, so I had to cram all my shit in before Pyra.
Better change my job, get a new computer, just like generally improve life.
Just fucking
just buy the back to 40k, that all just disappears again.
Get all the stuff like in order so that I can dive back into Team USA stuff full strength come the new year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's been going good. The Team USA has randomly become like the best like fitness thing that's happened to me in the last like couple of years. We got a like health coach person. Mike is the best. He is also an avid 40k player, obviously, but he like really kicked up our initiative to do things. So now people are posting workouts and runs and meals and stuff. It's pretty dope. Lost like 10 pounds. Cooking for yourself is pretty OP. So yeah, things are going good. Doing a life. How are you doing, Ennis?
I am doing less of a life, classically. Everyone else in the group chat's like posting on this legend, like, I played some Warhammer and laid in bed till midday. It's great.
I'm kind of jealous, honestly.
No, I've been doing a ton of reading. My family's home for Christmas, so we're just kind of hanging out, watching films and all that classic garbage, eating through a box of 140 Butterfingers. So,
as one does.
Doing as much as possible to avoid, anything resembling healthiness as possible until at least January 2nd. I think that's just a classic requirement. The month of December is for degeneracy, right? That's how it works. I've been playing a few games with my we did our WC faction assignment for Team Scotland. So I came out with Tyranids, Space Marines, and Demons. So I put Demons on the table for the first time since before WTC, and it was as depressing as I thought it was going to be. Shellax is really good. I understand why everybody runs that data sheet. Seems like she'd be cool to ally, and everything else is awful. Why does it all suck? I don't understand at all how that codex exists in that state. It's really good allies. It is really good allies. But it turns out that adding the demon's detachment rules to the changeling doesn't make her better. Who'd have thought? She's not really like crying out for 6-inch deep strike and +1 AP again and reroll wounds against battle shock units.
Yeah.
So such is the state. But I'm kind of excited to see if there's anything changing for them in the January slate. They feel like one of those armies that definitely feels like it should be getting something because it's just terrible. But we'll see what happens. Played some Nids, played some Space Marines, just generally hating the state of everything Space Marines. I do not like that codex very much. Yeah, Nids are fun. I wish they could kill anything.
Yeah, that's just not in their design space or something.
It sure isn't. And it doesn't stop you winning games. You just feel really sad as you have like an Exocrine sitting on an objective holding like your last 2 points and like, I'll win by 3, I'll win by 3.
Please, please. To be fair, very valuable in teams. They're good at keeping games.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good at all the jobs it does. Like I very much enjoy, like from that perspective, like I have a lot of respect for the way Tyranids exist and are designed. The kind of like the core scoring package of like Neurolictors, Rippers, Pyrovores, Biovore, like all the random garbage that it's have is great, best in class. It's just that everything surrounds it. You're like, Exocrines are really good at killing intercessors. What's everybody running right now? Not that. Huh. I see the problem.
Yeah.
And having an army with a transport, and having a transport would be good. I'm like considering the Harridan just to like microdose of transport, and I don't think that's an appropriate response.
Yeah.
You could just bring pods and drop pod in, I guess. And have fake transports. Just really fakey transports.
If I could re-embark in it, then I would 100% do that. But as it stands, I'm like Goliath trucks with. If I could ally in like Goliath trucks with pure strains in them, I'd be doing that all day. But I feel like they're not going to give me that either. So quite frankly, I've had a bad time. I wish Tyranids were cooler. But no, it's been interesting. It's cool to try play some of the armies that you're not like. You know, I've not really looked at Demons or Nids much for the last few months because focusing on singles and playing a bunch of Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines for results purposes, and then stepping back into the, oh yeah, remember WTC is a thing that you really care about, and it's in 9 months, and you have to start prepping now because it's WTC.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn it. Now I have to play all the shit factions again, so I can know so that I can know when stuff changes, if they'll be good, or if there's a gap in the meta that I can step. It's a whole thing, but it's not my first time doing this. I've been doing it since 2016, so you know it's just kind of a done thing at this point. But yeah, that said, I think we're entering into a state of I don't have a tournament till the middle of January now, I'm assuming, and you don't have it until Pyra, right, which is middle of February. Yeah, Nathan, you don't play events generally, so...
I'm running an event in January.
I was going to say, he's in charge of events. He doesn't...
Yeah, it's the same difference. Nathan, when's your next Crusade League?
I'm not playing any Crusade for a while, bud. I don't have time. I played a few games of World Eaters. I was like, oh, I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to get ready and go to a GT in like March. And then I realized that I just don't have fucking time. So I'm running a couple events, and that's kind of it. And I'm going to go ref some events next summer, essentially, and that's kind of it as well.
Yeah.
I'm stepping into I'm going to run and make things work role of 40K, apparently. Less the playing and glory role.
You know what? The community needs them just as much. You know, if there weren't any awesome tournament organizers, we couldn't go to awesome tournaments. So, power to you for leveling up your community. It's a very respected role. But let's talk about people who won tournaments.
Yeah. So there were 5 events over the weekend. It wasn't exceptionally exciting from like any perspective in any way.
Necrons got their first win for the new book, correct?
Yeah, Necrons won the largest event of the weekend. They won an event in Texas with Canoptek Court, which is using kind of the prototypical, it seemed 18 like Wraiths build, I think.
Pick the obviously broken datasheet, run 3 of it. Classic Warhammer, that is.
Yeah. Otherwise, Death Guard won the second largest event of the weekend, which was in Spain. And then Chaos Knights won an event in Sweden. Chaos Space Marines, which were funnily enough, I think, actually labeled as dang, I can't remember the name of the Batman Primarch's Legion anymore for some reason. Night Hunters Legion. Just went right out of my brain.
Night Lords.
Yeah. Label is Night Lords in BCP. Look, man, I'm tired. And then Sisters won the smallest event of the weekend. A 31 player thing in England. That's kind of it. All of the events were running the new book, as far as I could tell, except for I think one that was running that had no Necrons in it and had one Admech player in it, essentially, and that was kind of it. Who was running the index detachment? I don't really know. We're kind of like in a little bit of a slow state for updating all the stats and dashboard and stuff right now because there aren't a lot of events. We'll probably pick back up updating stats and things in the new year once we start picking up with events again. Other than that, yeah, cool story. Necrons might be good. I don't know. Something 60-ish% win rate. Something for Canoptek.
It's week 1. It can't be that big a deal.
It's true. We say that, but we tend to like really hammer home on some stuff. Yeah, that's the stats.
We like to overreact.
Yeah, I mean, hot take, that Necron Canoptek court thing that just leverages, like you said, the one most broken data sheet in that book is probably just the best build for that reason, right?
Yeah. Well, it also has every good rule they've printed in 10th.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely felt playing a game or two with it that it definitely takes chip damage significantly worse than like existent Necron builds do from this edition, which makes it feel a little bit less than like crushing inevitability to play into. And it definitely feels like there's, if it's a thing that starts becoming more widespread, that there's ways that you can build to have better game into that. It'll just kind of depend on what we see, come out of the balance data slate and out of people adapting for this. But it feels like it's something that you can adapt to. Like, it does die, possible exception the Nightbringer. Because, man, that guy's rude. A couple of games have just ended with, like, Sheras and the Nightbringer sat on 2 objectives, each just like, we have these 2. Everything else is dead, but you didn't score any points. It's okay.
Yeah.
I won't
As you bleed, like, 400 Assassinate.
My favorite thing also was definitely not them not giving any extra points, but also just giving Feel No Pains to all of the named Catan as well as the base Catan. That was just kind of funny to me.
The shit where they were like, it's fucked up that this guy gets a 4-up, so all of them get a 5-up, was like, what?
But that's fine. I guess, like...
And then you try killing Sheras, and he's like the tankiest git on the planet as well. And you're like, why does this exist? Why is this guy 160 points?
Yeah.
Well,
goddamn Necrons.
It's because Necrons stole all of the technology that Admech could have possibly had and put it in their book and then left them with nothing. So the Admech book just kind of slides right along with whatever it's doing.
Catan get a Feel No Pain, but Nurgle Demons don't.
I mean, they also take half damage.
Taking the Feel No Pain off of Death Guard and then giving them -1 damage and then taking that off them as well is the rudest shit Games Workshop's ever done.
No, I think that's fine.
I think it's funny, but it's the rudest shit.
I think it's good.
Why can't they just have their 5 Feel No Pain, man? It was so much more interesting than this dumb shit.
I mean, even World Eaters get a Feel No Pain from their
Drukhari get more Feel No Pains than Nurgle nowadays.
I guess.
And also probably
coming after Drukhari, all right?
I'm coming after whatever I want.
Drukhari alone.
I'm a long-term demon player, as we've just been discussing. I have strong feelings about my Nurgle boys.
Yeah.
I have a really nice great and clean one that I wish I could use properly and didn't have to just buy an enhancement for it to make him a workable unit.
Yeah.
The final challenge for Admech players is going to be finding a way to make like a $2,000 army for like one set of the units you need for it work. Cool. I need 24 dragoons. I have now spent an entire paycheck.
Nos, I didn't realize Hypercrypt. Nos says Hypercrypt gang rise up, but I didn't realize that Hypercrypt had a bunch of hazardous abilities that you could turn on 2 of.
I mean, he that detachment has the most rules you can get wrong, so it's good for Nos.
That is true. It's only got 2 stratagems, so he'll be fine.
Unless it says monolith and then you don't use it near monolith, then who's to say? It's easy to forget stuff in 40k. Anyway,
if you write monolith keyword on your Riptide, it counts, right? Oh, sorry, we're doing that in-joke thing again. We should avoid doing that. Paint Celsius asks, Innes, what's your opinion on 10 bloodletters costing more points than 10 Arcoflagellants?
Oh, that's rude.
Oh.
That is like the rudest points values thing I've heard in a long time, actually.
I mean, the 10 Arcos being cheaper than the 10 Plague Bearers, that they're also tankier than and do more damage than, is probably where it really hurts.
I had this really...
Arcoflagellants actually in points. What is the points cost?
130.
So the day before the last balance day, I went on the Discussing the Resilient podcast and was like, Plague Marines are kind of interesting at 20 points, but I think they need to go down to like 16 points a model for them to be viable. And then the next day, the data slate dropped and they went down to 16 points. Bloodletters at 8. All right? I'm telling you. And Arcoflagellant's up to like 170. Fuck them.
Each.
Yeah, each. They should be the same points as the Nightbringer. They have a better field of pain than him.
That unit having 130 points for like paint cells and just
like it's only 60 twin linked attacks off of effectively 40 wounds.
Yeah, it's fine for a unit that inexpensive, so you can just bring 3 of them and have a good time.
I'm pretty sure Arcoflagellants are the best unit at killing Arcoflagellants in the game, though.
Do they actually kill each other like at all?
I hate.
Anthony,
it's probably pretty close, right?
Causing Anthony actual physical distress by turning.
Yeah, that unit I hate when sisters are good, honestly. It's the fucking worst.
For the sake of the audience, can we just explain what makes Arcoflagellants good?
Go for it, Anthony.
No, you can't make me.
Yes,
I'll just leave.
Yes, we can. Do it. We don't have to add him back. Like he can.
I mean, Innes, why don't you explain why Arcos are good then, please?
No, I want to just. No. He can't add himself back. He can unmute himself and add his camera back, but he can't add himself back. He doesn't have admin rights, so he has to apologize first.
I don't think he's going to, but you
care. So Arcoflagellants are 13-point models with 4 attacks at 5-0-1 with twin linked and sustained hits 1, which is a pretty good profile. It means they average about, they're going to average about hitting on 3s, which means with their 4 attacks they should be averaging, roughly 3 hits. And then defensively they're just 2 wounds with a 3-up save and a 4-up field of pain. I believe they're like a 6-up armor save with no invulnerable save, but that's not a big deal because they have a 4-up field of pain and 2 wounds each. And then they're like movement 7, capable of going inside transports. They get +1 to hit if they're below starting strength, which means they put them up to hitting on 3s, which is effectively hitting on 2s with sustained hits 1. And they get +1 to wound when they're below half strength. So if they've got 4 wounds left, they're +1 to wound. And then they can add +2 to their attacks for free by just gaining hazardous for no reason whatsoever. They're just like, what if we just had 6 attacks? They have a 7-up save, but that doesn't really matter because if anything shoots them that you care about, you can just go to ground them and then miracle dice them. There you go. So garbage save. Their save doesn't matter. They maybe get cover. Anthony, don't add Anthony back in.
I'm gonna add our third host back in just to make the audio feed not be a pain in the ass to edit.
That's fine. And then they have like a +1 to wound stratagem, and they're 130 points for 20 wounds with a 4-up feel no pain. They're just very cheap, very good at their job. They charge well, they tank well. It's 10 models, which means it has 10 OC. Like, it's good at just stealing objectives, but by virtue of that, it's an awkward little unit that's not much fun to play into.
So it's like an amazing tar pit unit with like a little bit of damage potential and like just enough OC to kind of like hold points. And they're cheap, so you still have most of your points to play with in a 2,000-point army.
Yep. And then, like, Sisters have some really good combat control stratagems. Like, they have the +1 to wound. They have the make you fight a thing that's in engagement range with them. Just a bunch of annoying little stuff. You can be, like, in combat with a squad of 10 of them, and they're just like, you have to hit us, not the Triumph, or not Celestine, while Celestine just bats you in the head with a stick. Like, this is really unfair. I don't really like you doing this to me.
Well, I guess we'll see what the January data slate kind of has in store. Sisters have been kind of flying too close to the sun, it seems, of being actually good instead of taking their 1 week off between weeks of being good. So we'll see how that pans out for them in January, I suppose. I guess we can go back to talking a little bit more about Necrons and kind of what is going on. So we talked about kind of 18 Rays being the archetype for a lot of things in Canoptek Court. Do you want to talk about just kind of like how Canoptek Court works, and we'll see if Anthony eventually comes back when we're not talking about Sisters?
I can do that. So Canoptek Court is one of the 2 detachments that's really standing out from the new Necron Codex, the other one being Hypercrypt. We'll probably touch on both. Canoptek Court basically has the same rule that Demons does, where if you control half or more of the objectives in No Man's Land or your opponent's deployment zone objective, you gain, you turn on your power matrix, it's called. Basically, units that are wholly within your power matrix get full rerolls to hit if they're Canoptek or Cryptek units, otherwise they get reroll 1s to hit. So your Wraiths with their weapon skill 4, your Immortal Squads with their Tesla joined by a Cryptek, etc., get reroll 1s to hit, and then if they're in your parametrics, they get full rerolls. It's a pretty solid little rule, gives you a bunch of options. more consistency in damage output is always good. And then as far as its stratagem suite goes, it has the standard Canoptek units can do a reactive move, so they can move 6 inches when you am within 9 of them, which is a pain in the backside for stealing objectives off of stuff like Wraiths. They also have a lone operative stratagem, so they have like the Nargle strat for Chaos Space Marines, where one of their Canoptek units can again just turn themselves into a lone op. They can make one of their weapons into devastating wounds weapons if they're in their parametrics, which means that they, when you have stuff like immortals that can have full rerolls against you on objectives, it means you get a lot of damage output out of them. And then they have some other sort of like generally less relevant stratagems, like being able to reanimate when you get charged and things like that. But broadly, they have some good damage output stratagems, some good resilient stratagems, lots of little options, and they support shooting well. The kind of general combo you're seeing out of it is if you combine a Plasmancer with a squad of Immortals, the Plasmancer gives you critical hits on 5s, which with Immortals with Tesla weapons means on a 5 or 6 to hit, they get 2 additional hits. With full rerolls, they're able to chase those 5s and 6s. And then they are Tesla weapons with devastating wounds, and they have full reroll to wound against units on objectives, so you just reroll to wound for devastating wounds. I think the rough math is somewhere in the region of like 10 to 12 devastating wounds into the average target, plus potentially whatever saves you get from your natural strength 5 rolling to wound. It is a pretty consistent unit. It does a lot of damage. It's expensive. You're talking like 300 points for the full combo, and it is, off the back of toughness 5 1 wound models that do have a little bit of regeneration. But if you're used to the way that Necrons were generated before, it's not quite the same. You're not seeing things like the Reanimator showing up where you're healing. You're shooting them and then they're healing 2d3 plus 1 wounds back, and then they're going into their command phase and healing up 2d3 more wounds, and then they're going into your command phase and healing up another 2d3 wounds, and suddenly the unit's healed 63 plus 1 wounds since the last time you activated into it. You can definitely chip damage them down. Those units do not have the Canoptek keyword, so they can't lone operative, by my understanding, even if you put Cryptothals in there, because Cryptothals don't have lone op, so there's a little bit of flexibility. But in general, if you can deliver that unit, whether that's by a Night Scythe, whether it's by the Overlord with the Translocation Shroud that lets them all advance 6 with their assault weapons, there's a bunch of ways that you can get them into position and do cool stuff with them, but it's not 100% guaranteed, and it definitely has its limitations, but it's a very, very powerful option to have access to.
They can deep strike pretty easily, right?
They do not natively have Deep Strike, as I recall. So you'd have to put them in a Night Scythe, or you'd have to run like a Monolith or something like that with them. Okay. I think you're a little bit limited. In Hypercrypt, they can get access to Deep Strike, which is the other detachment that's vaguely interesting.
But then they lose access to the dev wounds and stuff like that. And yeah, they're still like modestly delicate units. It's a 300-point unit that will die. And they're not Kasserkin, who are 110 points from like 9th edition.
Yeah, they're fairly they're either on the board or you're adding another 150 points for a delivery mechanism, which is it's not. I don't know if it's balanced, but it definitely is manageable, right? That's kind of the situation that I land in with it. And then the other kind of half of that is like you have Wraiths with the Technomancer, which are just a block of 24 wounds with a 5-up field no pain and a 4 vulnerable save. Standardly annoying to kill. They do enough damage to respect them with 4 attacks each at 6-1-2 with reroll to hit in your power matrix, which is, they're not going to punch the world to death, but you do have to respect them. The ability to turn on devastating wounds. They have a gun with devastating wounds that's not terrible. Like, they do.
It's a pistol, right?
It is a pistol, yeah. It does hit on 4s, so it can be a little variable, especially if everyone's minus 1 to hit in any way, even with full rerolls. And you do have to be a little bit careful about pushing out of your parametric at all. Like, once you go even partly out of it, like into your opponent's deployment zone or something like that, you lose the ability to turn on devastating wounds, etc., etc. So there is a degree of counterplay, or you can rapid ingress to steal objectives often within scepters and things like that can cause problems. But it's not the easiest thing in the world to deal with.
Makes sense.
And one of those Wraith squads will probably have Infiltrate, which is just funny.
Are they also -1 to wound or anything when they have I can't remember.
No, that's Lichguard. Wraiths do the flyover mortals, so they roll if they do a normal move over you, they roll a dice over mortal in the squad, and on a 4-up you take a mortal wound. So if a Wraith squad at full health would roll 7 dice, averaging 3.5 mortals, if they can normal move over you, which is not the easiest thing in the world.
Gotcha. Okay, so what's kind of the counter tactic then that you're kind of looking to leverage against that army? Because we can see that it has a good job. 18 Wraiths are going to hold objectives pretty solidly, and then Immortals are going to scalpel a unit or something out, right? With the devastating wounds.
So, sort of general things. It doesn't do a great job at taking things out of buildings. Wraiths are good damage output, but they're not great damage output, right? You're getting charged by a unit that is AP 1 damage 2 at strength 6. There are a lot of things that does not kill. Anything with a 2-up save, anything with Armor of Contempt, anything toughness 7 plus. You charge a squad of Wraiths into a squad of Wraith Guard, you're going to be there for a while. There's not a ton of access to fall back and shoot, so if you can grab those Immortal squads, you have a really tough time with it. if you can like, so there's a bunch of like little things you can obviously split your units up. The mortar unit is pretty consistent when it fires everything at a target, but it's not great at split firing because it's pretty variable on whether it rolls enough 5s and 6s, either on hits or wounds. So it's very good at like focusing down a target, but not great at splitting between 2 or 3. In the same way that Kazakin could be pretty variable if they did that. It doesn't have the same degree of consistency. And then it's generally, not always, but generally pretty slow. The units themselves are like movement 5, and then the rates are movement 10, but they don't advance and charge. Like, you can definitely play outside their threat range. And it, like I was saying earlier, this army does take chip damage in a way that Necrons just did not in the previous attachment, which I forget the name of. You can definitely, if you kill 2 Wraiths, one of them is staying dead, even if they roll like the max reanimation. There is not a lot they can do to like get really back up better than that. They can heal some additional wounds with like the Technomancer or things like that, but like actually like bringing models back, not so much. So sink damage into them, keep stuff dead, focus on one side of the board. Like, it's kind of an army that you want to kind of just let them have an objective for a bit and then try to crush them afterwards, rather than trying to play them across the entire board and letting them, rather than splitting up all of your firepower. Yeah, there's also stuff like, as Imenide says in the chat, Immortals do move 11 because they can all advance 6 with the Translocation Dread Overlord and shoot 24, but it's a 35 threat range, but it's reliant on sight lines, right? They can only shoot down what they can see. So if you can be behind a wall, that Immortal squad potentially can't get to you. If you can move block them, all that kind of thing. There are definitely things that you can do to cause problems. Don't be on objectives you don't have to be. That's just good advice in general in 10th edition. Don't be on objective you don't have to be, but if you're not on objective, that Immortal squad only rerolls 1s to wound. It does not have full rerolls to wound. Don't overextend into them. Don't give them free kills that you don't have to. If they're going to take the objective off you anyway, why bother being on it, right? Just let them have it. Don't take as much damage. Because the alternative is you just getting shot to bits, and that's not what you want to be. Vecting their battle tactic is also not nothing. That army does generate a bunch of CP, but it does want to use them. So if you have access to Vect and things like that, you can do that.
So then Nos mentioned Hypercrypt, which I assume has some kind of shenaniganry in it. That
it just gives mobility to an army that typically has bad mobility.
It has the Grey Knight's ability where you can pick 3 units and teleport them off the board at the end of every turn. They come in from Strategic Reserve or Deep Strike if they have the rule. So, for example, Transcendent Catan do have Deep Strike, the named Catan don't, but it does give you some ability options with them. And then it has 2 relevant stratagems for most armies, which are 3-inch Deep Strike and Reanimate in Reserve. So it has 3-inch Deep Strike and Command Reroll, and you don't worry about anything else. You might go to ground with some stuff. And that detachment basically just plays the standard like Necron scoring stuff. It maybe plays some tanky units. It's a little more like Lich Guardy, but that detachment's like a Catan detachment because it gives them a ton of ability. You might see like double or even triple Transcendent Catan plus the Nightbringer, just for the sheer amount of mobility that it gives those guys. It's pretty solid. Yeah. I don't think either of these are world beating. Like, Catan are good, but they are single models. You run 3 or 4 of them, it's still 800 to 1100 points of your army. There are limitations on stuff like that.
Catan are
and they do die
slow, right? Like,
they lost some movement.
Yeah, they're not fast. They're not going anywhere outside of Hypercrypt except very slowly.
Yeah, it's very like advance, roll a charge. Like, that's the army. That's like the Catan life.
I think as Tim says, there's a strat to 4++ a vehicle, which it does exist. It's not. I think it's a Titanic vehicle off the top of my head, but like if you're running a monolith, it's pretty solid. And then there is a enhancement for if you arrive from reserve this turn, you can get 4 rerolls to hit, which again is pretty good on something like an Immortal squad. You can get a lot of shooting out of it, but you don't have access to like devastating wounds, which does mean it's a little bit more restricted in terms of like damage output and reach. It's more for cleaning up like small units and chaff and stuff like that, or like making Be'lakor really sad as you nuke him to death because he has a garbage save.
Yes, you just shoot Be'lakor full of holes with Tesla lightning cannons basically, and watching him fail all of his AP 0 saves that he has to make.
Yeah, that's what it is. There are 4 strats that are vehicle or monolith only, and attachment, and like they're not that great, so you're probably not like to see them. Quantum Deflection is the one Tim's talking about. It's a 4 invulnerable save for a Necron vehicle. The only ones that don't have a 4 invulnerable already are the monolith and the planes. So it's just it's a little limited.
A little limited. That's a nice way, man. You've been working on that influencer shit, Ennis. You've been in there doing your coaching for bad lists. A little limited. That's what that is.
We're gonna have to figure out a new one of those little messages that we used to send to Anthony, but for Innis now, and it's gonna have to be about triple monolith.
Dude,
I was actually just checking to see if the Tomb Sentinel had a vulnerable save because I actually quite like that model,
Dude,
but
that
it's
would
also
fit.
a monster, not a vehicle, so it doesn't even matter.
I'm gonna use that a lot now in like all sorts of like really mean borderline cyberbullying ways. I'm gonna be referring to stuff as a little limited.
Do the Seraptic heavy constructs the
I
giant?
think they
vulnerable
only have a
save?
5-up.
Yeah. Its movement is a little limited on WTC boards, so he doesn't know.
It's not limited, actually. Okay, yes, the Seraptic does only have a 5+. So if you want to make your Seraptic a little better and have it only be limited by your imagination, how much your TO hates you in the board choice, you can have it be a little less limited.
How about Doom Scythes, Innis and Anthony? What do you think about
Doom Scythe? I think it's cool.
Doom Scythes in the Hypercrypt attachment, just booping up and down every turn.
If it wasn't 230 points.
Once upon a time, when I used to watch a lot of Hearthstone content, there was a streamer who, when he would do card set reviews, one of the tiers, I'll let you imagine where on the tier list it was good art, and I think that's where Doom Scythe falls.
Great.
I think Doom Scythe would be really interesting at 170. At 230, it's yeah.
So what about Admech? We can take 5 minutes to mourn.
No, we're done. We've discussed everything of relevance.
Damn, I feel a little.
Are Scarabs specifically bullshitting Canoptek? Like, they're just wall of stats, right? Like,
yeah, they're just dudes.
They explode. It's cool. They get full rerolls. They have the movement stratagem that you can loan up them, but like, there's better things to do all of that stuff on.
Yeah, the Doom.
I mean,
one Doomstalker is cute. The one
that's I like a Doomstalker. It's fine. I don't think you have to have it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's explain why you would take a Doomstalker, though. Just
it has good Overwatch and full rerolls in your deployment zone, so it's okay as like the thing that you sit on your home objective because you have to put something there and like
to kill.
Yeah, it's vaguely annoying to kill. It can stand there if your opponent doesn't have any pressure on you, and you can leave like 2 Cryptothralls there or whatever, or like a Locust Destroyer. You can push up with it a little bit, but it's got Overwatch on 5s and full rerolls. It can sit in your backfield and just be annoying, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be much else. It's not like breaking the world open, but it's a reasonable shooting unit that your opponent has to respect, and maybe it stops them going after your home field.
Yeah.
And then are we really concerned about... Oh, go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was just gonna say I'm like quite sad about Admech, honestly. I was looking for an excuse to get into that army, and they gave me all of the excuses in the world not to.
Yeah, they don't do seemingly like... I was looking through that book just recently, and they just don't seem to do anything.
Their unique thing is that their models are expensive.
Yeah, that is...
We're not clarifying whether that means money or points.
No, it's just money. Like, all their models don't cost very much. They just suck. It's like backwards 9th Votan, where like they had every rule, but you could never have a real army because they had so many good rules, so they had to be costed out of the game. Admech is like the opposite of that, where they have just nothing. They have no fucking anything. Their competitive advantage is that your opponent probably hasn't played against them because they're fucking garbage. And that's all you get. That's all you get is Admech. This army is expensive and shit, so hopefully your opponent doesn't really know what it does.
All right, so it's going to do great in Australia. I got it.
Probably.
Probably. Somebody's going to pick it up in Australia and play something off the wall. Like,
he's getting like Alex, 100%. Yeah. He's already doing it, I'm sure.
Exactly. But Alex is going to crush cunts with this. But
it's going to be 400 models. Yeah. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be tough out there.
And then we'll go back and circle back around to Scarab Swarms just briefly. Scarab Swarms don't have OC still, right? But they strip
Cryptek.
Yeah. So is this what...
Which sometimes work if they're battle shocked. Yeah. Half the time.
In your turn. I love 10th, by the way.
In case people are not aware, what they mean is, because of the way the priority rules work, during your turn, you can set the priority for that their ability triggers after they get set to 0 by battle shock. So... yeah, you can give them their 1 OC back because that's how life works. But during your opponent's turn, They pick the priority that rules apply, and they will pick it so that you do not get your OC.
Yeah.
Congratulations, 10th edition. We really need like the same kind of Magic the Gathering stack system, essentially, and just like
Well, technically, that's exactly what is happening, right?
I mean, but you just need to like to set it to like these are instanced, these are sorcery style. Like, just figure out the way that can work.
My life is basically better by all measurable metrics right now, and I would still trade like just to go back to the end of 9th. Like, please.
Forever out of reach, Anthony. You'll never get it back.
I know.
Just remember that applies to Norns as well.
I'll never get Norns back?
No, Norns, the same sequencing thing as Scarabs. It's so stupid.
Oh, I was like, we never had them. They were never here. What do you mean?
It's also true, yes.
It's the worst. The worst. One of the worst things is that little sequencing blur. Also, the fact that they forgot to include something about having duplicate effects on units. So there's no clarification except for some vague directional stuff in rules that seem to cover the same idea as duplicate rules. So you have a bunch of people being like, so what if I put move twice on guard units and stuff like that? Do they get 6 extra inches of movement? And I'm like, but normally you'd say under 9th conditions, no, that you couldn't do that because you couldn't apply the same rule to a unit twice, but that rule doesn't exist.
Only applies to auras.
It only applies to auras. And the core ability thing about duplicated abilities only applies to things like sustained hits and dev wounds and stuff like that, right? Well, not dev wounds, but sustained hits and stuff.
It'd be sweet if dev wounds stacked every save you get 2. You just double your characteristic.
No, it just double ignores your save. It just ignores it twice to make you feel extra sad.
You get no feel no pain against it when you have 2 instances of dev wounds.
You know what? That would be fine. I would be okay with that. If you can get dev wounds onto a unit twice, it can ignore feel no pain.
Just like really crush those Custodes players' wardens. Like, no.
I'm still okay with it. Those Custodes wardens, that whole transition to wardens can just go away too.
We don't want you to have fun. How dare you?
I think if WC was tomorrow, we'd really consider taking Custodes in the 7th or 8th slot. And I think people are just really bad at them right now.
People are really bad at most armies right now, Anthony. That's just how Warhammer works.
No. People are really bad at most armies all the time. I think that very specifically, the Custodes player base right now is not doing as good a job as they could be with that army.
You also just know that John has signed a contract somewhere that says he has to play Custodes at WTC. Like, he signed a contract with a fell demon when he was 14.
Yeah,
like, if I get to the World Championships, I'll play the bananas, and he's just stuck with it.
Yeah, he gets to win a lot of singles events as Tyranids, but the second we cross the Atlantic, he has to be wrapped in gold.
Yeah, shouldn't have spoken to Beelzebub, buddy. Yeah, you got a chance to do it.
It's his version of the tinfoil hat. He's got to protect himself from the European radiation or something like that by wrapping himself in gold.
Yeah,
no, there's a portrait in his attic of him holding a Tyranid model on a WC trophy, and he's not allowed to look at it. If he looks at it, he immediately gets fired from Art of War. Doesn't get cut from the team.
Chat, I don't often ask you for much, but if someone can just AI art fuckery make that image exist, I will find a way to get it to land on some form of jersey that John has to wear.
This is a threat that will follow through. If anything, our Discord is followed through on putting
someone figure it out
on jerseys.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't seen the Turbo movie poster, but with Anthony on it, you're missing.
Dude, Anna has that. Anna has one and wears it regularly.
Some deep lore stuff. I think we said Turbo like one too many times, and somebody's like, "There's a movie about a snail called Turbo."
Yeah, and that was the end.
A new Turbo shirt, but this time it's John Lennon's trophy.
Holding a Tyranid model wearing a WTC trophy.
On the back.
And then just facing away from it, not allowed to look.
Yeah. That's good.
All right.
Poor kid.
We are descending into something. I don't know what we're descending.
Regularly into madness, yeah. Does chat want to shout out a couple of conversation topics, and we will see if there's anything that grab our interest, because we got about another 5-10 minutes or so before I'll do the plugs and we can roll into show questions. How about that old world stuff?
Yeah.
Hey,
I actually think that stuff's kind of cool.
Me too. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. I can't wait to play 3 games of it and then forget about it.
yeah, Old World is just going to be less fun than Sigmar. Calling it now.
It definitely feels like a version of Sigmar that is just more difficult to play. Like
just
from
gonna-
a
Nostalgia bait. I can't wait.
You're going to get on that table. You're going to go to turn a unit to the right. You're going to scream into the void, and that'll be the end of playing that game.
I'm here for
can't
that.
wait.
It'll be like micro roasting pivoting an orc truck around a building.
Man,
I mean,
people are
you
gonna
just
have
go-
to bring
you
out like
just bend the tape
protractors
measure,
and stuff
bro.
like that. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the protractor meta that will happen in old world as people try to figure out the
I can't wait. It's gonna be
distance
great.
that they're
I'm
moving.
gonna have such a great time.
Nope.
I will say that Age of Sigmar continues to release just banger models, though. They released another vampire model that is just like absolutely amazing. And every time I see it, I'm like, man, if they would only put this much effort into Drukari, they would look amazing. Instead, I convert all their vampire models. Fucking, yep. The Flesh Eater Court stuff is all amazing. Are you going to paint and assemble Flesh Eater Court's models?
I have them in the other room. There's actually, if you look
Ooh.
here, there's the Flesh Eater Quartz box.
I'm excited to see that happen after so many years of.
It's gonna be a content thing I try and make with Jim. I think where like can you fix the broken man? Can Anthony learn how to paint? Is it real?
This is the real learning by suffering tier. Is
Yo.
Anthony learning to paint?
If you'd have told me when we started, that's what would have happened. I would have called you stupid. But now.
We've been making content like the 3 of us, and then also Jeremy, so like the 4 of us.
It's 2 years in 3. It's 2 years and 3 months. LVO 2021 was our first show. So
oh yeah, it was right after I'd gotten back.
Right when the meta went totally like akimbo for Custodes and Tau, basically for a brief.
I thought it was gonna be fine. I'm probably so bright and full of hope in that episode. I'm like, I'm gonna take Drukari to Cherokee, guys. It's gonna be awesome.
Do we have to watch like a? Do we have to do like a watch party to watch all of us?
Our first episode,
young and naive of our first episode.
Oh, that would be funny.
It would not be funny. I would have a bad time.
Yeah, I think
people
it'd be funny.
We keep talking about doing SpongeBob, and really we should do a retrospective
I do.
episode
We
of
have
our
to
first
both.
time
We promised
streaming.
SpongeBob for like 100 patrons.
I think this is much funnier, and then we get to see like on like the fucking warpath Innis, because that was like Crusher Innis when he was fucking tearing shit up.
Mhm. Also,
We
hello,
got the old music. Our music was so great.
Yeah. Ah.
all right.
I've heard our current music is in an ad on TV in Britain. I've not seen it at all, but I would very much.
Yeah.
If anybody knows what that is, we'll chat and help us out. Like, we need to know. Are Admech good in Heresy? Probably not. That doesn't seem like a thing.
The Admech character in Rogue Trader is amazing. Pascal.
There you go. Go on my
real good.
Trader.
Or is anyone allowed to be good in Heresy? I have it on pretty good authority from Cliff that you just get banned from your local scene if you try.
Yeah, I think it's just Custodies and Dreadnoughts are good, and everything else is Grognards. So
also,
Sounds like
Admech and 30k are actually bad. They were really good in the older version of 30k, where you could do like all sorts of silly shit with giant cyborg robots. But they toned all that down in the new edition of 30k, is my understanding, so they're no longer as good.
okay, they were busted in Shadow War Armageddon, which is a game I very briefly played because it was like the precursor to Kill Team between 7th and 8th edition.
What?
I don't know. I have the rulebook somewhere. It was pretty.
Pull up the questions.
Yes.
What are we doing?
I liked it because his acronym was SWAG. It was Shadow War Armageddon. So you played a bit of swag.
This is more scuffed than the plugs usually are.
That's why I'm doing it.
Look,
This is basically the Christmas episode. I'm just leaning into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let Anthony suffer for a couple more seconds, and then I'll start.
And yes, Sam, you're right. The Admech 30k models are so cool, though. And if they release a Mechanicus army that has the 30k,
They will never do that.
40k, I would jump to that army in near seconds.
You're getting fired. You'll get it when Fires of Syraxis comes out, Nathan.
I know, buddy, but Fires of Syraxis is never coming out.
Fires of Syraxis is Winds of Winter. that's what Fires of Syraxis is for.
They're stapled together when they drop at the same time.
Man, I don't want to say anything else. because I feel like the real situation between Fires of Syraxis is the actual realistic, more depressing version of what dickish fans say to George R. R. Martin about Winds of Winter.
That's fair. All right, plugs. How am I doing them this week? Let's just think for a second.
What do you mean?
I don't
What
know.
do you think about it?
I just need to.
You do these
stabilize.
every week.
I know.
For
You
a
would think
year.
I'd be good at it.
Literally hundreds of weeks of these.
Yeah, approximately. Okay. We're StatCheck. We do a bunch of stuff that we think is pretty cool, and we're glad that you're here watching us, and hopefully think it's cool too. Shut the fuck up, both of you. This is really difficult for me. I'm not good at this. You make me do it every week. I want you all to know, okay, that I ask every week for someone else to do this. Nobody ever helps me out. Every week, it's like, no, Ennis, you do it. It's really funny watching you suck at this. So we're going to keep doing it because we think it drives engagement. So I want you all to know that while I'm suffering here, while Anthony's laughing at me, that he has in his power the capacity to save me from this. And he chooses every week. He makes the decision that it's funnier for both of us if I suffer and that you all have to watch it. So
it's like microdosing exposure therapy. It's good.
Whenever Anthony pisses himself laughing, then it's on him too.
Actual tears from laughing so hard during that sequence. Just like actual tears. So funny. Innes.
Okay.
All right. Red Dragon, buddy. We're
I
gonna
don't have this. I've never once had this. I don't understand.
We're gonna slow pitch underhand this one to you. We're gonna put it on the tee for T-ball so you can hit it, Innes.
You failed. You failed. It's gone. I threw my bat somehow. It's gone. Okay. We do a bunch of stuff. You can check it all out at youtube.com/statcheck, where you can find all the other shows that we do, like Enter the Matrix and Next One. Next week, I believe, Enter the Matrix are going to be doing a special 27th of December bonus extra cool Christmassy stuff. So go and check that out. That's the content that'll be coming out from StatCheck that week is Enter the Matrix, saving our asses because we're not doing anything on Boxing Day. It's just not a thing. If you want to support us in doing all of that and continue to be able to provide all the wonderful content that you guys get to consume, patreon.com/StatCheck is the easiest place to do that. You get access to our Discord community, access to the discount code for Red Dragon, all that good stuff. It's a wonderful community. We're in the middle of the Vibe Check League. We're closing out on round 4 of the league right now. I'm pretty sure like Ignite or Poland or I don't really know are winning it. I've not been paying attention to that. I just run it. Anthony, have you played a game in that league yet? Yeah, me neither.
Ruben's Band of Merry Men is going to win that league for some reason. That's all that's going to happen.
Yeah. StatCheck is brought to you by a wonderful group of sponsors, the foremost of which is red-dragon.ca. Red Dragon is our wonderful merch provider from Canada. If you're interested in getting access to basically any hobby stuff in Canada, check that out. There's also a discount code available in the Patreon. They also have things like the StatCheck mats, which are being distributed now and are super awesome, and I really, really need to get a hold of one because they're really cool, as well as stuff like our objective markers and dice, which should at some point be getting restocked. I need to actually follow up on that. We should follow up on that. You can check out Saltar Games on Etsy, where they have all the things like our little tokens, deep strike marker gauges, army packs for Oath of Moment and doctrines and all that good stuff. And you can check out Wayland Yutani, who offer a code StatCheck5, where you can get 5% off on a bundle of the WC terrain or GW terrain or anything in between. Go and check them out at wayland-yutani.com. I want to say, but that's in the all of those are in the description if you want a direct link to them to save you having to type things out. As I mentioned before, Enter the Matrix and X1 are the other two shows on the network. Go and check them out all the time because they are wonderful and they provide two great offboarding ramps if you're interested in either of the aspects of the show. If you want more of the conversation-y and like coverage stuff, then go and check out X1. They are all about doing that sort of stuff. And if you want to go more in depth on the gaming side of things, then Enter the Matrix has got you covered. All of the guys on those do a wonderful job. Lastly, if you're interested in coaching from either myself or Typhus, please do check out stat-check.com/coaching or drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com and we can get in touch to talk about any of your requirements, whether you're looking at getting prepped up for the new ITC season, whether you're going to LVO or WTC or anything in between. We would love to give you a hand if that's something you're interested in. I hate you all. Thank you for making me do this. Love you, all the viewers, just Anthony and Nathan that I hate right now. We're going to go into show questions. If you want to ask us a question, please drop it in the chat. If you chuck us a super chat, we'll guarantee get to it. Or if you ask it in the Patreon Discord, we will 100% get to it. So those are the two best reasons to give us money. Otherwise, it'll be a case of if we see it and if we have time, because at some point I need to go to bed. Because we record the show at midnight, which is why I'm mostly delirious.
All right, so we're going to go. That was amazing, by the way.
No, it wasn't. Don't patronize me.
It wasn't patronizing. Once you got like actually centered, you did it quite well.
We only patronize you when it's time for army selection for team events.
True. All right, we're going to go into show questions in the Discord first, and then we'll transition over to show questions in the YouTube. Like Inna said, if you super chat, we will guarantee that we will answer your question. Otherwise, it's if I see it, which is not a guarantee. The first question is from Tom H, which is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I think that it is a Christmas movie. It happens during Christmas. Christmas is not the central theme of the movie, but Christmas does happen during the movie.
You know what? It's not a good movie. Moving on.
I've never seen it. Wouldn't know.
Dan F. then asked the more important question, which is, what is your favorite holiday movie?
Nightmare Before Christmas.
I also like Nightmare Before Christmas as my favorite. I would also say that weird, like, stop motion, like, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer one is kind of fun.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah. Innes, you watch holiday TV? Do they have that in Scotland? TV or holidays?
No, we haven't discovered fire yet, so it's really difficult to watch TV.
Yeah.
I mean, that would explain a lot about your winters and
I really
summers
like
being
the flying snowman shorts that Iron Brew put on every year for their adverts. Let's go with that. Just gonna give the stereotypical answer. It's easier.
Ben,
Yeah, Rory, Die Hard is a classic because a lot of people have seen it. That doesn't make it good. It's okay to like things that are bad. One of my favorite bands is Hollywood Undead.
Guys, we all play
Fine.
Warhammer. Like, it's okay. It's okay to like things that are bad.
Yeah.
Ben asks, who would be a better Santa Claus? Belisarius Call, Gazkul, or the Yinkarn?
The Incarn does show up unannounced and
Call
take all
every
your
time.
cookies.
There's
Call
a
100%. He's shaped like friend.
There's a cartoon short from one of the like Games Workshop reveals that's animated, where somebody tells Call that he can't solve all of his problems with Primaris Marines, and he says like hell I can't, and then slaps a fucking button. So look, it's Call. Call would be the better Santa Claus because he would secretly deliver you Primaris Marines.
Yeah, that sounds way better.
Gazkul might take the job too fucking seriously is the real problem.
Gazdo would believe it too hard, and he'd start manifesting like actual coal to give the children instead of just like realizing that it's a joke and you still give them presents. It'd be too much.
They'd be.
You guys got presents?
The coal would be squigs.
Oh, that's true. It definitely would.
Rob Williams, below average, asks, Stormcast in Old World, yay or nay?
No, thank you.
Oh, wait, in Old World? No. Actually, yes, I hope they do it just because it would make everybody irate. That would be hilarious.
That is my favorite, yes. It would just make the Grogs real mad that their old groggy thing got messed up by Stormcast.
That is true.
I hope that they put exclusively the female Stormcast in Old World. That would be just...
That's
I would say
very
my
targeted at the Grogs.
My genuine favorite thing about Old World is that like everybody was like, "Oh, we want Old World back. We want all the clothes," and then they brought out that box leak that had all of like the starter set content for Tomb Kings, and it's just like the dog shit skeletons that look
so
awful.
bad.
They look genuinely the worst, and I love them, and I'm like so glad they're coming back because like that's what fantasy was when I started, and like everybody, all the people who were like, "Oh, we want Old World back, but we also want brand new sculpts." I'm like, this is what you asked for. You asked for Warhammer Fantasy Battle back. This is what that was. How are you upset? So it's my favorite thing. It's like just piss off everybody. It's great. Bring back the awful skeletons. I want 100.
I mean, that side of the community also continues to be awful in other ways because they
Yes,
like saw
100%.
the new Bretonia knight sculpts and like, why are there women knights? And I'm like, guys, it's fine.
There's women
It's
knights?
in the new knight kit and
That's
the foot
cool.
knights kit. Yeah, it is actually cool.
Yeah,
It looks
and there's
cool.
like they put like the damsel, and then everybody's like, "I hate this. Why is there a woman?" And the Bretonia's like, "What? Grow up."
Exactly. It's basically grow up women exist. Come on, guys. Fuck off.
Well, they're powered by magic. You have no power here. What are we doing? Like, they could
All
put
right.
babies on those horses and lance people to death. Like, what
Imagine
is...
not liking women. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Contextually.
It is, those models are the closest that some of those people are going to get to women, so we just need to understand that.
Maybe that's why they're scared of them.
It's true. Derek asks, what's your favorite egg-involved holiday food? Eggnog? I don't know, man. Is there a holiday food focused on eggs? Eggnog doesn't even...
I feel like eggs in most of the baked goods, right?
I guess, yeah. I just couldn't think of an egg-centric holiday food.
Deviled eggs?
I guess.
Easter eggs. It's not the right holiday, but
They're also not really supposed to be what that holiday is about. Ah, whatever.
I mean, I'm not religious. So it's okay for me to
We're
think it's about Easter eggs. I'm a not religious fat man. Easter's about Easter eggs.
Fair enough.
It's the Cadbury egg is the only egg. Yes, we understand.
Moving on.
Yeah, Mr. Cadbury comes back once a year.
Mr. Cadbury.
Bryn asks, how will GW nerf Eldar this time and yet still not affect their win rate?
I don't know.
I don't want to know.
I honest to God think they have to try again. Like, I don't think that detachment can be balanced. Like, the data sheets they released and the detachment they're in with the way that 40k works is just like, it makes like the Windows error noise when they try and interact.
I mean, that detachment's just the real ones in the stratagems, right? So, I guess, yeah.
And
But fake this is an army mechanic. Yeah, you're right. Just that's what I recommended in their most recent article was like just throw out battle host and start again. But it's so in the codex, right? Like 100%. But
I don't know. Like they fucked up so like deeply, profoundly that I actually don't have something else to compare it to.
Yeah, just
so like
remove the Wraithguard, Fuegan, Wayleaper, Yinkarn, Warp Spider, and Night Spinner, and Avatar's okay. If you removed everything else, I think you'd be fine. Possibly the Farseer as well.
Okay.
Maybe Fox.
All right, now that we've removed half the Eldar
troops without Starweavers and like Vipers.
Just try again. It's fine. You fucked up. Oops. Try again.
We've reached the point of just rejecting the submission and asking them to resubmit the assignment.
Yeah, they don't even get a failing grade. We're just like, that was a mess. Try again.
I don't understand. Like, if you had tried to fuck it up this badly, I don't think you'd have managed.
Yeah.
Like, we're impressed. Thank you. You have a 2-week extension. Do better.
Give it another shot.
All right. JS asks, since the Alien movies are on Disney Plus, does that mean the Hive Queen's aliens are all princesses? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, fuck yeah.
All right. Next question is from Tom H. Is there any meaningful difference between the 28-player cutoff Goonhammer uses for their stats compared to your 25-player cutoff? We just wanted to be slightly more permissive with our data set because more events are around that 25-player mark without pushing it into RTs. Also, we already have a painting with Tyranids and a first-place trophy. That's your question, Jeff.
The other one is that it makes the breakpoints really clean. For 25 is a GT, 50 is a major, 100 is a super major. That was the delineation we went with because it doubles at each step, and we were like, that is the chillest way to do that. That doesn't make anything weird, so we just went with that.
Will asks, if you're on stream at a tournament, do you ever look back at the video to analyze your gameplay?
Fuck no.
Every time.
Two very different answers, and I love them both.
Yeah.
Sam Lemon asks, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you all. James Workshop is feeling generous this year and he's giving each of you a gift. What do you each request from James Workshop? It could be a new model, a rule change, an industry insight. Your wish is his command.
Plastic grotesques.
All Eldari faction units are relegated to heresy.
The Murder Elves have not done anything wrong.
All of them.
For at least 12 months.
All of them. Including Kyle Stern for some reason.
How Anthony had to realize that after he said it. It's been a year since Drukari did bad things to people.
We've been so good for so long.
Nope.
And when we come back, I will not be apologizing.
Gone. All of them. All of them gone.
I would like Fires of Syraxis to be
when you get Doors of Stone, okay?
Yeah.
I would take it.
I love Chaos Space Marines a lot. I love World Eaters to death. There's no faction I've identified so cleanly with since it started. But if Drukari come back in the future, because it's certainly not going to be with this fucking rule set. So in the Codex in 2025, when they come back.
Right before 11th edition.
Yeah, they're going to be the last Codex in the edition. They're going to get guarded. It's going to be awful. But when it happens, if it happens. I'm not really confident that they know how to write Drukhari rules anymore, I'm going to be honest. I will maybe play them because Sean is still on Team America, so probably not.
Honestly,
Anyway.
swapped the real Space Raiders and the Battle Host attachments and just like re-keyworded everything.
That wouldn't even work. That wouldn't even be enough. The data sheets in Drukhari are so fucking bad that you'd just be like, okay, and then Eldar would just carry on being broken.
They'd actually probably be better with power from pain as a mechanic.
No. You get power from pain. They get the 3 extra pain tokens with no way to use them.
Look, also just sociable those. At least one of us loves elves, and it's me. And then
Anthony loves elves too. He's a simp.
I was saying that Anthony loves murder elves specifically.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And clowns.
I like Harlequins a lot.
Clowns are a version of murder elves. Yeah.
Oh, you know what would be a sick Drukhari army if you could like convert them to have like the hood and the mask from Harlequins? That'd be really dope. All right, well, Casher, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
My real wish is not for Fires of Syraxis, but for them to remake Harlequins back into their own codex and flesh out that range. Like mimics and stuff. Like put mimes and shit into that book. It would be great.
All right, and then let's Secret Santa. My wish for Anthony is that Fulgur model was just in plastic and hidden with an Emperor's Children Codex.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Sam has a second question, which is, how much do you share about your 40K hobby with your work colleagues? Do you openly talk about it as well as the fact that you do a podcast, or keep it all private?
Innes' answer is very funny.
How about previous workplaces? Also, why do you choose to share or not to share? So this is funny because I had a conversation with somebody recently about Warhammer 40K at a work event, and it was only because this person said that they were from the UK. And so it's like, oh, they'll know what Warhammer 40K is probably, unlike the majority of people who I talk to.
I don't know. It comes up because I traveled a bunch, so you just kind of, I worked in a small office in my previous job, and then I worked on a small team. So like, if I was taking a weekend off, it'd be like, oh, where were you going? I'm like, oh, yeah, I was in Vegas, or I was in California. Like, you tell people why you were going. I didn't get into it a ton unless people asked, but it was just kind of like people knew you did it. You do it, you would tell them if you did well. That was about as far as it got for me. Unless someone asked, in which case you talk to them like a human being.
Yeah, I've talked about it in most workplaces I've been involved in. It just comes up a lot, right?
Most places, most people only want to know that you have a hobby and that it's not murdering people and hiding them in your basement, guys.
It's true.
Those aren't mutually exclusive, though. To live your best life, 40K players.
Sebastian asks, is ham better than turkey? And then how would you paint a Necron army? I love the second question off the first question.
Ham is significantly better than turkey. Turkey is the boringest option. I don't understand why it's the Christmas dinner of choice.
It's not Christmas, it's Thanksgiving, but yes. Who has turkey for Christmas?
That's the way the UK does it.
Why?
You have a turkey crown at Christmas. That's what the meal is.
And you imported like the worst.
It's the shittest. I hate it.
United States.
I despise turkey.
Ham is definitely better. Just eat ham or prime rib. Ben McJurk in YouTube chat has the correct answer.
I quite like turkey. It's really good with the Thanksgiving stuff.
Okay, moving on. How would you paint a
nice
Necron?
gammon steak? I like the sandstone Necron stuff where you like do it all up with like you coat it in all the like the texture paints, and then you do it up like all like how Mikey Hellstorm did his, and then you do like blue highlights on all the stuff, or like blue or green. I think it looks really cool.
That is cool. There was a Phyrexian Necron army that I thought was super rad. Somebody did like the Silent King as Elish Norn and stuff like that. It's quite cool looking.
That's just relentlessly horny.
Nathan,
what?
That's how I should do my Drukhari.
Oh yeah, 100%. You should do it as Phyrexia. Do it. It'd be a great Coven army, really. Oh, this might be too real for our podcast to talk about. The UK celebrates giving smallpox blankets to the indigenous.
Why would you read it out loud?
I don't know, man. As long as we're gonna make everybody, everybody learn lessons from the terrible history of colonization.
I stand by the most sad food thing that I learned is that in the US, pigs in blankets are like a sausage in pastry rather than a sausage wrapped in bacon, because that's what it is in the UK, and it's the best.
What?
Yeah, pigs and buckets is a sausage wrapped in bacon.
Dude, that's some Midwest shit.
It's
Do
great.
you dip it in fucking melted cheese when you're done and fry it?
just a sausage and
Fucking
bacon.
Jesus Christ, bro.
Well, what you were just the pigs and buckets in the US is like a sausage roll, like it's like a mini sausage roll.
No, it's
we
not.
already have
I've
those.
had both. That's not true.
No, like a mini one, not like a.
No,
They're different.
no, not at all. Ah, fuck. I'm
Ben
so
has
mad at
the
you.
idea though.
Make Innes do the plugs again.
All right, we're gonna keep going. What is your favorite warm winter drink?
Hot apple cider. That shit bangs.
That's a good one.
But also, like, New York has all the fucking orchards, so it's fine.
Okay. I like glühwein a lot. I almost said glue wine, but it's glühwein, yeah. I don't know, man. I speak bad.
Tim.
Adam Thylacine says, how much better would 10th edition be with 9th edition terrain rules?
This is a pigs and blankets. They are the optimal food.
Oh.
The optimal, yes, Innes.
Yeah, if you're
The reason I like Christmas.
if you're speed running being alive, those are optimal.
That's the optimal food choice.
Oh.
All right.
I can like 50 of them in a sitting comfortably. And
We're just going to skip the terrain rule question and keep going. What is your favorite egg-related? We had that already. Our egg-related holiday drink.
on egg questions.
What is the guys? There's. All right. Adam Thylacine asks another question, since we're going to skip the terrain question and just go to who are your Warhammer heroes? I assume
Anthony J. Vanilla.
Aw.
That's so nice.
That is the nicest thing I've heard Innes say ever about anyone in his entire existence.
That was so kind. Heroes. Man, that's a fucking lofty I don't know, I'd have to think about that for a while. I'd say like the two people I look up to most, probably from like a behavior perspective, is probably like some combination of John and Sean. The way John handled the absolute bullshit that he got put through at WCW was like legitimately heroic. Because that tournament was fucking nonsense, and he got scammed at every level and was just like, nope, it's fine, no big deal. And then Sean just like beat me until I was good at the game. So it's a very different vibe, but you know. Yeah, and probably those two would be the two that I like look up to the most.
Neil Kerr.
I'm gonna say, yeah, Neil Kerr is a good one. I was gonna say
Neil Kerr's
Jeremy.
reason 40k is playable now.
Fair.
Like the human behind playing with intent is Neil Kerr, and for that he will forever have my respect.
Yep, valid.
I was going to say Jeremy because he's the true unsung hero of 40k stats at this point. Because when I was starting to write articles and doing all the stats by hand, he piped into my DMs one day and was like, hey, Nathan, what if you didn't do all of those checks by hand? And now we have like 40k stats that are reasonably well maintained and like on this podcast all the time.
Yeah, Jeremy's the hardest working man in 40k, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Cliff.
Yeah, it's not very close
behind him for doing the dashboard. I was going to say Cliff is like right behind him for hardest working person in 40k because he does all the dashboard stuff also behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He's definitely the hardest working person with another day job.
True. And then the last one isn't a question, but is a picture of this. The JPEG is called Sorry-John. So give me 2 seconds while I boomer my way through sharing this. Gonna boomer my way.
This is not going to be even remotely what we asked for, is it?
It's pretty close, actually, all things considered.
That doesn't count. That is not earned a jersey, but that is very funny.
This is
it's
very
also
funny.
Just not John looking at. It's not a picture of John like on a frame. I don't know. Like this was Chris, right? The Chris failed 0 out of 10. Try again.
0 out of 10. Rough.
I give this a 6. I give this a 7 out of 10.
Holy shit! You have no standards.
No, it's because the painting reminds me of Ghostbusters, which I believe is where this is from.
Yeah,
fair. That's all. There you go. I'm gonna stop sharing it now.
Shameful, Chris. That's not what we asked for. Your free work wasn't good enough.
Ben McJurick, crit mass money for stat check. What did you ask the Red Gobbo for?
I just want his rules to be not legends. I think he'd be really fun if orcs could grenade better.
True. I looked at that guy's rules and I was like, wow, this model's actually very good.
Yeah.
And then I saw legends and was quite depressed.
I
You ask the Red Gobbo
didn't
for any
really ask anything for anything for Christmas. I'm really terrible. If I want something, I just buy it nowadays. It's really difficult to like ask for things unless it's something stupidly expensive that I would like not ask for. So it's tough. Such as life.
I'm going to go through the super chats now, and then I'll go through the questions that existed. Tim Penny didn't ask a question. He sent $2 again, and all it has
Easter
is
Island head. Yep.
Easter Island head. Nas sent £2 and said Hypercrypt Gang rise up. And then Tim Penny also sent just Nova Crypt in response to all of Nas's nonsense. So if you know, you know. And then for questions, Andrew Trowbridge said, you guys tempted by Old World at all? What would be your faction?
I'm told I would play Wood Elves, but I don't know what that means. And I have played Fantasy a little bit, actually a little bit recently, and I really enjoyed Vampire Counts. But that's just because they let me play with Crypt Horrors, and I fucking love those. So any chance I get to use the Hulk as a vampire thing, I'm in. But I'm told I would like Wood Elves. Maybe. Who knows? Not me.
I'm going to play some High Elves. I'm obligated. I spent ages saying if they ever came to Sigmar, that would be when I'd buy into Sigmar, and then they came out and they were Lumineth, and I was not impressed. So
yeah, fair.
And then 1+ Saves has 2 questions. The first one is, hey, Nurglings. Hey, Nurglings aren't demons and probably the best unit in the game, right?
no, not even. I wouldn't
the
even
game
put
is
them.
strong. If they were OC1, they might.
Yeah, they're like top 20 best unit in demons. That's not like best allied unit and the best unit in demons that isn't Be'lakor or Chilaxi. I would give them, but best unit in the game is a stretch. So you got to do a lot to be the best unit in the game when Wraithguard exists.
And then 1+ Saves, second question is, can we just rewrite the faction name and add a B at the beginning of Admech?
I mean,
You can do whatever you want. Start the trend. Be the change you want to see in the world. You didn't even do it in your question. So clearly we're not going to follow.
Someone soon will start.
And
I would
AJ
prefer
Harris,
Sadmech, but
I also like Sadmech, so that they can pretend to be an S tier, but never mind. AJ Harris asks, question, are you bringing Butterfingers to the shop tomorrow?
yes, 100%. It might only be enough for me, but I will bring them in front of you at the very least.
Nice.
And then the last question for the day is from Wei, which is, I consistently hear that GSC is fine, but wouldn't the complete abandonment and tanked win rate indicate otherwise?
Usually the last two go together, not necessarily the first.
I don't think they're... The GSC are fine. They just struggle to win tournaments, but they are good at winning games. Like, you can win a lot of games. Almost any game you put in front of, GSC are capable of winning, but they introduced a very high variance rule set to them, where if you drop your first bring back models or you get your blip taken down, it's very hard to recover with a very fragile army like GSC. And the meta is just a little bit hostile to them. Like, people got used to playing against the previous version, and the game hasn't changed a ton from where people were playing and having a reasonable win rate into the previous one. So I definitely think they're kind of in need of something. It's definitely not buffed to like the shooting output, but they might need like just a bit of a directional change. But also, yeah, the people that like would be doing really well with them, like Alex McDougall, Lennon, if he was ever willing to play them again, all that kind of people just aren't playing them right now. McDougall's just not playing a ton, but he still like went like 5-3 with them at WCW. So no, I don't think they're that bad. They're fine. Just
on that note,
and Myson crushed people with them at the team tournament a couple of weeks ago, so they definitely still have a role.
And on that note, we are done with questions. Do you want to lead us out, Innes?
And yeah, Saw Mega Armored Knobs are great. They're really solid. Just run them. Don't worry about it. 2 attacks is fine. When you have strength 12 and you convert on every wound you roll, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they're really good.
Roll us out. Yeah, I have to do this as well. This is another thing that's forced upon me. I don't get a choice. I'm just made to do all of this stuff. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us here for this slightly short episode. We are, as I said at the beginning of the show, taking a hiatus for the week of the 26th. You will be able to hear a bit of stat check from End of the Matrix, which is coming out on the 27th of December. So please do check that out. They will be live. I don't actually know off the top of my head what time they go live, but do check that out on YouTube. If you are subscribed or you have the notifications on for that, you'll see a notification we're going live. Otherwise, check out our Patreon Discord where you'll get tagged and we'll just tell you that it's live, and you can definitely not miss that. I'm probably going to try and be in voice a little bit over the Christmas period for if anybody who is, not visiting family or is sitting around and wants to hang out with us in StatCheck, please do that there. Otherwise, have a wonderful holidays. We will be back with you in the start of the new year, I imagine. Good luck if you're at any tournaments over the next 2 weeks. You're a very weird person if you are, but power to you. Have a wonderful time. Happy holidays. Don't get too drunk unless you want to, in which case, I'm not your dad. Nathan, say the words.
Bye-bye.